Alright, so what are we talking about today? Well, it's boredom. I think we all feel boredom quite often in our lives, and it's, first of all, difficult to understand what boredom even is, and then what does it mean? What should we be doing about it? Should we be doing something to avoid it? Should we be doing something to harness it? Like, what's happening here? So, first of all, what even is boredom? And I could just say, oh, it's not having anything to do, right? And then I guess to some extent that's true. But I like to think about these questions from an evolutionary standpoint, right? Why would boredom exist? Is it a byproduct of other things, or is it in itself something which has developed within us, right? I think what helps us to understand is to look to other animals. Are other animals bored? You could say yes, maybe, but when you look at the natural world, animals are more switching between tasks. That's what they do. The rabbit is eating the food, then it is going and trying to find a mate, then it is having sex with the mate, it is getting food, right? And so there's a different, obviously higher, some things like getting food and water are more important than having sex, well, depending on the animal, of course. And then sometimes, though, I have enough food, and then so we move to the next one, which is sex. So now we're gonna go try to find that. Or, right, I'm getting food right now, I'm hungry, I'm eating food, trying to get food. Oh no, there's a wolf. Most important task now, run. That's it. So, for humans, we don't do that. We don't go from, obviously, we understand this, because I live the world. I live in the world, and it's not as if I have one task. Like, I eat, and then I move to the next task, which is to have sex. Not how my life works. Not how anybody's life works, because that's not how our brain works. We are different than most animals. And that is why I believe, first of all, that boredom is not something that's just a byproduct of life. It's not just the in-between stage between actions. It is actually a developed thing itself. Now, that's sort of questionable. But what does that mean, right? In terms of our lives, it means boredom. The point of boredom, the reason we have boredom, the reason we are bored, is to find problems to solve. It's to find what is the next most pressing issue for me. So that's essentially what it boils down to. Now, when we feel this boredom, often we create problems for ourselves. That's a very common thing. And I don't want to act as if that's bad. Creating problems, as I think I've talked about in the past, is not inherently a bad thing. It's only a bad thing when the problems you're creating aren't real. When you're creating problems that aren't beneficial. So we can create problems like Newton did. Nobody found gravity as a problem because it wasn't a thought. You just walked on the earth. And of course I stuck to the earth because I've always stuck to the earth, and it doesn't matter. If I don't stick to the earth, if I didn't stick to the earth, then I wouldn't be here. I am here, therefore I stick to the earth. I don't need to think about this more. I need to think about getting food. I need to think about all this other stuff. But Newton, one day, had time to sit under an apple tree and made it a problem, and then came up with the solution. Now, I don't want to act as if it's only, the rain. It's just either you're Newton and you're coming up with gravity, or, you're imagining all your friends don't like you when really they're fine with you. That's not really, it's not just these extremes. Of course, it's a range of things. But if we can try to be on the more positive, more creative range, that's better for us, because those problems are ones we can actually try to solve, ones we can make progress on. When we create problems that are not real, like generally relating to social situations, that's when we cause strife for ourselves so that we can solve that strife, right? That's what we're doing, is we're creating a problem so we can solve it. Now that's okay, because that's what boredom's for, but it's not advancing your life in any way, nor is it advancing the lives of those around you. And so it's important for us to try to recognize when we're doing that and try to steer away from that, right? So I kind of got into what we should do about boredom a little bit, but the second question I wanted to address was, why are we bored all the time? And that's an answer, again, that's maybe not super simple, but it boils down to this idea that, or the fact that if we maybe looked back, I would say even 400, 500 years, I mean maybe even 300, 200 years ago, people weren't very bored. 99% or 90% of people had to work to survive. You know, before there was school, even when there were laws against it, without the the popularization, or the mandate, rather, of school by the government for children, child labor was very common and very, very prevalent. Most families did it because what are you going to pay money to have somebody watch your child? You don't have that much money. Or they could go to the factory, make money, which is what they're going to have to do the rest of their life anyway. So during that time, and during the farming, the eras in which we were hunter-gatherers or farmers, most people lived their life working to survive, creating the food that they needed, creating money, rather, I guess, to buy the food, or actually creating the food that they needed to survive, creating the houses they lived in, getting the wood they needed to heat those houses. Of course, trying to have children. That's our biological purpose. That's something innate in us. And so, of course, we try to have children. And most people were fairly successful at that. Obviously, we're still here, so more people were successful at that than weren't. But our life then, if you were to be put into that situation, it would be like being dropped into the woods with nothing. You would not have time for boredom because there is the next task obvious to you, obviously in front of you, right? At that point, it's not as if we are rabbits. We have some amount of boredom, certainly, and not that that's the qualifying or differentiating factor between us and rabbits, but we have more complex ideas, and we are better able to work on the problems than a rabbit. They're more executing functions, like a computer code, whereas we, I think, are more trying to figure out better ways to solve problems. The point being that they spent their whole time, and we would have spent our whole time, all of our time, solving this problem of us surviving, and that is no longer a problem. However much we'd like to feel like our lives are coming to an end, or how hard or difficult our lives are, they are not very difficult. However much we like to, complain about a 40-hour work week, working 5 days a week, people throughout history had to work every day, right? Because they had to survive. It wasn't as if they went home from work. They worked all of the day, 12 hours, 14 hours a day, as long as it took to get the food they needed to survive. So, the amount of time we have now, staggering. No time in human history has this percentage of the population had this amount of time to just sit there. And so, now, we're moving beyond this life where we get to just, we have this next task in front of us. Now we're sitting at home And we don't know what to do. And that makes sense because there is no food left to get. We can go to the grocery store. We have plenty of money. You have enough money not only to buy all the food, all the housing you need, but also to buy things you don't need. Right? And so this is the rump of it, maybe. That why are we bored? Because we have no biological purpose left. At least no base biological purpose. I've talked about. I do believe we have a biological purpose, a purpose left for us, but we have no base biological purpose, meaning food, shelter, having children, those three things, right? I guess water. I guess, food, water, basically the same thing. I'm just joking, but your own survival is now not that much of a problem, and the survival of your family is also not that much of a problem. So, and having a family is not that difficult in comparison to how difficult it was throughout history. So, that's why we're bored. Now, what do we do about it? You're like, Kai, what are we doing? You're telling us we're bored. Cool. And you tell us sometimes it's terrible because you make up problems that don't exist. Cool. But what does that mean? What do I do? Well, it means sort of what I said before. That if we understand boredom is us not having a problem to solve. The thing we were created to do. Solve problems. That's what all animals, to some extent, are created to do. We're just very good at it in comparison. And usually those problems are related to our own survival, but now we have the time to think and solve problems that are beyond just our survival. And so it's okay to spend some of your time watching some movie or something like this. Or I guess if you are seeing this, you're on YouTube. It's not as if I want to say this is a bad thing, because it certainly isn't. One thing that I would say is actively negative is when you take and use that time, as I've said, to create issues that don't exist. And so being very wary of that is very important. And if you want to feel purposeful in your life, and you want to feel like this boredom isn't just like I'm just doing nothing with my life and this is so why do I have so much time? I don't like it. All these feelings. You need to think about what you want and how you can get it. So these are two problems which we should like to solve because they're about us. We love ourselves. I love myself. Everybody loves themselves. I mean, some people don't, but by and large, people do. So, the first question, right? What do I want? Most people know this. Or a lot of people know this, but I think less, actually, than you may expect, actually know what they want. And so spend time solving this problem. What do you want from your life? If you don't know, try to figure it out. That's your most pertinent issue. Beyond food. Because you have that. I know you have that. And if you don't have that, you should be... That's your solution. That's your problem you gotta solve. But if we can understand who do I want to be? What do I want to be? What do I want? What do I want from life? Then we can direct this boredom, this great machine in our head that can solve almost anything. And so once we've solved this problem of what do I want, now, although it may seem insurmountable task, something so far away, just take it one step at a time. That is the problem. Okay, I want a wife, children, and a house. Well, okay, there's multiple problems here, right? I need a wife, I need children. I want a house. Obviously, I want to, maybe not obviously, but I do want a wife I love. Okay. We can work on 2 problems at once. How do I get the house? I need more money. Okay. Well, I can make more money by working more, working another job. I can save more of my income. There's different things I can do. Let's try to take action on one of them at least tomorrow, or as soon as I can, right? Let's take action on one of these. Now, thinking, next steps, getting a wife, family. Well, I don't talk to that many people. Let me reach out to more people. Let me go on a dating app or something, or go to a bar. Talk to people. We know, I think innately, maybe not innately, but you could achieve what you want. You know that. And I think often we're just scared of that. And it's difficult. It is difficult. But that's not the point of your life is not to avoid difficulty. It's to solve the problems in front of you. Right? That's all we're supposed to do. And by giving in to things that are innately an escape from solving problems, you do nothing but bring your death 2 days closer. You do nothing but waste this time of your life. If you want something, you need to spend your time trying to get it. I'll say this too, right? You do not know what actions will bring. So what does that mean? You want something. Sitting back and not doing anything, or thinking too long. Obviously, you need to think about what it is you want and try to come up with a tenable action plan. But what I think often we don't realize is you just need to do stuff. Now, I don't like to talk too much about God. I think it shouldn't matter if you believe in God or if you don't believe in God. You should still have a better life, right? And still try to understand more and take action on some of these ideas. But even if you don't think God has a purpose for you, you must believe that there's some point for your being alive. And so try to find it. Do random shit. It doesn't matter. Just do something. If you don't know what your purpose is, and you're trying to figure that out, just do stuff. Push yourself. Don't sit. And as one philosopher said, shorten the road. Don't just shorten your life. Don't just make the end come faster. Right? We don't know much. So learn. So try to figure it out. Most people don't know anything. That's just how we are. I don't know much. You don't know much. But to act like that's a reason not to act, or I don't know what my purpose is. So do something and say that's not it. Right? I don't know what my purpose is. Okay. Well, try this new job. See what it is. Well, maybe you should try playing pool, Maybe you should go try tennis. Maybe that's your purpose. You don't know. Maybe that's what you're going to love and what you want to do with your life. Maybe go to a bar. Have some fun. Talk to some people. See if you want to, go out with friends. Do something like that. But don't wait for meaning to find you. Don't wait for purpose to find you. It won't. It's like people waiting for... I hate this. When people are like, I want God to show himself. To do some miracle for me. And I understand. I understand that. But it's like I won't believe in God unless he does something extraordinary for me. What do you mean? You just want everything to come to you? And that's not even what we want. You don't want things to just come. That's what we think we want. We think we want everything to come to us. That's not what we really want, though. That's not what are we designed to do? Was my purpose, was biologically, am I created to just get stuff? No. I'm not a child. Children were created to be given things. But as you become an adult, now you have to figure stuff out, take action, create something, understand something more. It doesn't have to be the cutting edge of science and metaphysics or something like that. Just understand something for yourself. Help your kids live better lives. That's all you gotta do. Just don't fucking sit there and do nothing. Alright. Got a little worked up. Feel bad about that. And I realized as often happens, I veered to maybe a broader array of topics than I initially intended. But thank you for bearing with me.